Louis Vuitton is the most valuable fashion brand in the world, and its CEO, Bernard Arnault, is the richest man on the planet with a net worth of $220 billion. It's hard to believe the company was founded by an uneducated man who was homeless in his youth and slept in the woods. Louis was born in 1821 in a small village called Anca in France, deserted place with no electricity or running water. His family had a farm there, and Louis grew up working full-time in the fields from sunrise to sunset to help his family. The nearest school was 6 miles away, so he learned to read and write at home. The family's financial situation was difficult, making life hard for young Louis. Things got worse when he lost his mom at age 10 and his dad remarried. Louis's stepmom was very controlling and manipulative, leading to constant conflicts. At the age of 13, Louis decided to run away from home and head to Paris. He ran away from home in the middle of the night without telling anyone, but there was only one problem. Paris was 325 kilometers away and Louis had no means to travel. Therefore, he had to walk on dirt roads. Most of the time, he slept in the forest with an empty stomach, trying to keep warm with just a blanket. Once in a new village, he worked as a laborer in exchange for food or coins, but he could never afford accommodation, so he continued to sleep in the forest or wherever he could find a place to spend the night. Through these various odd jobs, Louis was able to acquire skills from artisans and metal workers. He learned to work with stone, fabric, and wood. These skills would later change Louis's life, but traveling at this speed was incredibly slow, so it took him exactly 3 years to reach Paris. After arriving in Paris, he worked as an apprentice boxmaker. He started making boxes of special sizes for customers when the customers were going on trips. This allowed him to meet many upper-class people who were looking for special suitcases for business trips. By working in this workshop for years, Louis learned his manual skills and did his best. In fact, in 1851, the Empress of France became his client, impressed by his fine workmanship, appointed him as her personal boxmaker. For most boxmakers, this would be the highest honor of their careers. Louis went from a homeless teenager with nothing to his name to someone who held a prestigious job among the crowd. This was a great success in itself, but Louis had a bigger vision for his future. After getting married at the age of 33, Louis used his savings to start his own business and opened his own boxmaking workshop in Paris to sell his own products. Apparently, Louis noticed a major defect in the suitcases of the period. He observed that all the boxes were made of leather and had a round dome-shaped top which allowed rain to flow over them. The real problem was they couldn't be stacked, so packers had to carry the boxes one by one. He began experimenting with different materials and found that canvas was lighter and more water resistant than leather. This discovery led to more durable suitcases. Louis's invention allowed suitcases to have flat lids, making them stackable and more efficient. His new design made suitcases more compact and modern. Louis had already built a strong reputation and connections with the upper class. When he introduced his new suitcases, they became an immediate success and a fashionable trend among the wealthy. He even created a Louis Vuitton catalog so that customers could see the products they wanted, have them made before they were sent to their homes. Within 2 years, these suitcases became indispensable accessories and status symbols. The brand's popularity grew rapidly, receiving orders worldwide, even from Egypt. By 1859, Louis has made enough profit to hire a team of craftsmen and open a new workshop near Paris with 20 employees. As more people began traveling by train and ship, the demand for quality suitcases increased dramatically. Travel was no longer just for rich. People from every segment needed reliable suitcases. Therefore, the number of potential customers increased exponentially. From a narrow perspective, Louis Vuitton seemed to have succeeded. He appeared successful for the rest of his life. Unfortunately, this was not the case. France was heading towards war, and tragedy was about to strike again for Louis Vuitton. In 1870, when Louis was 49, the Franco-Prussian War broke out. He was forced to leave his home and live in a cramped shelter with thousands of others. Food was limited. He feared for his life. In 1871, he finally returned to his shop and found everything destroyed. The windows were broken and the equipment was stolen. He lost everything he had worked for over the years. Instead of giving up, he decided to rebuild the business using his savings. He swore that it would be better. Due to the large number of people displaced by the war, many more stores were available for rent in the city. Vuitton took advantage of this by opening his new store in a more wealthy and aristocratic part of Paris. It was perfectly located next to the train station and the Grand Hotel. Travelers needing luggage did not have to go far to find Louis Vuitton's store. In 1872, he introduced a new design, luggage made of striped beige canvas. It became incredibly popular and people loved showing off the new modern style. Many other brands tried to copy his styles, but Vuitton's bags were made to such high quality that customers still preferred an authentic Louis Vuitton bag. For the next 20 years, Louis continued to work in this new store until he passed away at the age of 70. His legacy lived through his son George, who took over the business. George expanded the brand globally by opening a popular store in London. By this point, Louis Vuitton suitcases had become so popular that many box makers began producing knockoffs. In 1896, George Vuitton created the iconic LV monogram to make imitation harder and honor the man who started the brand. He also introduced a revolutionary new lock system to the boxes, making them burglar-proof. By 1900, the company had 100 employees and continued to grow each year. All employees were trained extensively to become expert at making boxes. Even today, Louis Vuitton's employees are not trusted to make a product on their own until fully trained. In 1925, Chanel ordered a small dome-shaped bag, initially designed for herself. The company began to expand into a completely new product range. It went into mass production and was very successful. Louis Vuitton started producing more small leather bags like the Keepall, Speedy, and Noé. Before Vuitton, bags were generally seen as bulky and inelegant. The company played a significant role in making bags seen as much more elegant. Unfortunately, George Vuitton lost his life, and his son, Gaston Vuitton, took over the company during a very difficult time. Within a few years, France was heading towards war again. During World War II, contracts were cancelled, and Gaston had to close the Louis Vuitton factory. Paris was once again under siege. Gaston saved business by collaborating with Nazi Germany. An author named Stéphane Bonvicini wrote a book called French Odyssey. While researching the company archives, he asked to see records from World War II. Company representatives tried to avoid revealing information, claiming all documents from 1930 to 1944 were destroyed in a fire. However, Bonvicini discovered that Louis Vuitton managed to open a luxury store in the Hôtel de Ville in Paris. The company is ashamed of this part of its history, but it did what it had to do to survive. Other fashion designers such as Coco Chanel also collaborated with Nazis to ensure their businesses were not destroyed. When Gaston passed away in 1970, his son-in-law, Henry Richemere, took over the company. Now it's fourth generation. Henry had business experience from a company he had previously managed. When he took over Louis Vuitton, he transformed the brand's business model from wholesale to retail. In 1978, he expanded to many countries, including Japan. Within 6 years, sales rose from 20 million to 265 million. Henry decided to open the company to the public. He sold 1 million shares worth of $63 each. Henry used this cash flow to open more Louis Vuitton stores around the world. Louis Vuitton reached sales of $1 billion. This success was beyond what the young Louis could have imagined when he opened his first store in Paris. Henry also decided that they should merge with Moet Hennessy, a luxury drinks company producing champagne and cognac. Together, they formed a new luxury holding company called LVMH, aka Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. The theory was pooling their resources would allow them to develop faster. After Louis Vuitton and Moet Hennessy joined together, Henry didn't get along with the chairman of Moet Hennessy. He asked his friend Bernard Arnault for help, but this turned out to be a bad idea. Bernard Arnault secretly bought 43% of the shares of the company and got support from others. Henry felt betrayed and went to the court to try to keep control of Louis Vuitton. But the court decided in favor of Bernard Arnault, and Henry lost control of the company. Henry was so angered by this betrayal that he decided to quit the company. For the first time in almost 100 years, no one from the Vuitton family was involved in the brand. After Bernard's takeover, Louis Vuitton's sales began to decline. Journalists stopped covering the brand for a while. Bernard knew how to turn companies' fortunes around. Louis Vuitton made a comeback by collaborating with various fashion designers for its 100th-year anniversary collection. Designers like Vivienne Westwood and Isaac Mizrahi reinterpreted the iconic LV monogram logo in their own ways. Once again, people eagerly wanted to own a Louis Vuitton bag. This investment turned out to be a great success. Bernard Arnault is now the CEO of LVMH. In 2021, Forbes declared him as the richest man in the world. In 2024, he is still the richest man in the world, even richer than 2021. Despite his immense wealth, Bernard remains one of the least known among the richest people like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. He prefers to stay out of the spotlight. This single company now owns most of the world's luxurious brands, a remarkable turnaround from its troubled past. All this started by a bankrupt homeless man.